Good morning, everyone. So this is the long version of the short video I put out earlier. So again, my computer is a virtual machine. If you're not familiar with what that is, let me show you. So this is what you see, and it works just like a computer. However, it is not. Let me shrink this down, and you could see that this is not a real computer. In fact, this virtual machine actually resides in my documents folder. We'll go into here, we'll go into Studio. This is all the files for the virtual machine. The advantage to this is, heaven forbid this happens, but I literally could take my virtual machine and put it on any other compatible computer through a flash drive or through an external drive. So if my machine died, you know, I need to fix it, I can literally take this virtual machine and plug it into any other computer and it will work. Well, as long as it's compatible. So this is something I want people to consider doing. This is for the small businesses. Medium businesses can probably do this also. If you work from home, entrepreneur, and your computer is shared with your significant other, your kids, whatever, you really need to consider doing a virtual machine for your work. Now, this will help in the way that, like I said, if your primary physical hardware machine dies, you could take that virtual machine, plug it into any other computer, and you're back to work, and you've not lost anything. So that's the advantage to this. And like I said, it will run on just about any compatible machine, whether it be a Linux machine, whether it be a Windows 7 machine, it will do that. The nice thing about this, like I said, is your work is then isolated from your personal computer. So, like I said, if the computer dies, if your kids accidentally download a virus to your physical machine, it's isolated and you've got a backup of it, and you can take that backup to another computer. Another advantage to this is if you have older software, and I'm going to tell a story to that too. If you have older software, you do not have to use Windows 11 on a virtual machine. You can use Windows 10, you can use Vista, and this is going to lead into the story. I had a client who has since retired. I had a client up north who needed a Windows XP virtual machine. I've actually got two of these type of stories, simply because they had an old QuickBooks 98 accounting software. They still had it on disk. The advantage to that particular old version was payroll was included in the original software. It wasn't an add-on. They didn't charge you a fee for it. There was no monthly fee for it. There was no write a check fee. There was no per employee fee. It was included in the original 1998 edition of QuickBooks. Now, you might think, well, that's just too old. It doesn't auto-update. You're right. The software no longer updates. However, the strangest thing is the payroll side of Windows 98 or QuickBooks 98 did update. They ran payroll off of that old QuickBooks version. In fact, they ran their entire business off of that old one. So they could still do invoicing. They could still do payroll. They could still do accounts receivable, accounts payable, and it was QuickBooks 98. The only way it would actually run, though, is I had to do it on a virtual machine because, technology has changed. And so it wouldn't run on current Windows 10, Windows 11 technology. QuickBooks 98 is just not going to run on it. So that's one example. The other one is, and this one you're going to find a little bit odd, but it works. I have a client to the east of me who runs his entire small manufacturing facility on virtual machines. Why is that? Cost. We're all in it to make a profit. And in his particular case, he has older machinery that are computer assisted or computer designed. And I think this is like drill press and lathes, and those people will know what I'm talking about, but they're computer aided, computer assisted machinery. Kind of like a robot, but we're going back to the late 90s. So all of his computer aided machines run on a virtual machine with Windows XP, simply because for him, in his small little operation, um, running this, upgrading the software to run on the newest operating system and the newest programming would cost him about 1.2, 1.3 million dollars. He originally bought the software, I want to say mid to late 90s, for $30,000. It still works. Um, so yeah, just the thing is inside each of his machines he has a controller interface card. Um, the only thing I have to do is if I have to replace a computer, I have to find a motherboard that will accept that card. If it will accept that card, then I can load up the virtual machine on that computer, regardless of how new the technology is. And the virtual machine, Windows XP, will detect that card and allow the virtual machine to control the drill press or the lathe or the saws. Uh, but I mean, his whole operation, because it was a necessity, runs on a virtual machine. And I keep pointing over here because that's where my screen is. But his whole operation runs on a virtual machine. So, when you get into the office side where they're using the newer version of QuickBooks and email and stuff like that, those are all Windows 10 computers. But the whole entire production floor, which is not very big, but the entire production floor, all the machines are ran on virtual machine Windows XPs. They're not connected to the internet before someone starts pointing that out. But all the host machines on the backside of them are Windows 10. So they can actually, they used to take a flash drive, so the design would be created in the design studio in another computer, and they would take it on a flash drive over to the other computer, load up the specs or the design or whatever. Um, I think they call them G codes. Those people who are knowledgeable, those know what a G code is. They would load it into the Windows XP machine and bring up the software, and it would do it that way. Now they just email it to that particular machine through the host program, upload it into the virtual machine. There it is. So really, really simple in that regards. Like I said, the fact that, and I have to maintain that, he runs his whole production floor on virtual machines with Windows XP. And again, it goes back to cost. He will periodically, like once every few years, just, hey, what's the cost of the new software and equipment? Like I said, the last time I had a conversation with him, which was earlier this year, $1.3 million. Like he says, I could probably pull the financing for it, but I can't guarantee that the sales would increase. You know, he's not wrong. When you bought the entire suite back in the 90s for 30,000, and it still works today. So yeah, virtual machines are important. You will see virtual machines everywhere. You're just not realizing it. Like when you go out in the world, you may see a virtual machine running on gas pumps. You may see them at a doctor's office. If you're in your work environment in an office and you sign into a remote desktop, same concept. It's a virtual machine. And like I said, and the advantage to it is you can shut down the virtual machine, copy the files to a flash drive or an external drive. If you're in a bigger office, they probably have a whole hard drive dedicated for backing up virtual machines. And then those are stored off site. So yeah, it's a nice thing to have. And it's a good way of separating your work from your personal computer. And like I said, and if the hardware dies or whatever, you can take that flash drive, that external drive, go to another computer, and there it is, and you've not lost anything. So this is the long version of the short video. Hopefully you found this useful. Like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. There's all the channels we're on. This is how to get a hold of it. Well, if you wanted to do a $5 donation, because social media doesn't pay for me for this yet. If you have a computer problem or a computer question, there's the phone number, and you can text that number, by the way. There's the website address. Give us a call, send us a text. We'll take care of you. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later.